Um, but again, we're really excited to welcome all of our panelists today. We have a variety of panelists who have backgrounds from different industry areas and educational paths. And our goal today is for you all to learn a little bit about each of those panelists and be able to ask them some questions. So we have some time where we'll moderate some questions ahead of time. But if you think of questions, be sure to throw them in the chat box, raise your hand. We'd love to hear from our littles. We'd love to make this as relevant to you all as possible. And then we do have time towards the end of the event where we'll send you in some breakout rooms where you'll really have a chance to get a more one-on-one connection with some of our panelists and ask them some deeper level questions, get to know them a little bit better, and network with them. So we will kick it off today with Tanya Savinsky. She is the Director of Community Relations at Indianapolis Power and Light, who is also our presenting sponsor for our Big Futures program. And so huge shout out to them and their support to make all of these events like this possible. So I'll hand it over to you, Tanya.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I echo Stephanie in saying we are so glad you've joined us this morning. IPL is invested in supporting the Central Indiana community, and we are a longtime supporter of Big Brothers Big Sisters. As we know, the relationships forged between bigs and littles are impactful and now more important than ever. As a company, we are glad to play a part in helping you achieve your dreams and goals for your future. The representatives across industries who are participating on the panel today have a wealth of knowledge and insight and will serve as a great resource for you as you consider your path after high school. Now I'd like to turn it over to our moderator, Chad Rogers, IPL's Regulatory Affairs, to begin our panel. Chad?
Thank you, Tanya. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Like Tanya said, I'm Chad, and I work in regulatory affairs at IPL, but I'm also a big brother currently. I'll be moderating today, but first I want to take a second. It's more than a second because we need to recognize our many sponsors for Big Futures, and there are quite a few. So thanks first to Indianapolis Power and Light, who is the presenting sponsor of Big Futures. We have our platinum sponsor, Delta Faucet, big potential award sponsor, the Strata Education Network, gold sponsors, First Financial Bank and Ivy Tech Community College, bronze sponsors, Centier Bank, County Materials Corporation, Fifth Third Bank, Honda Manufacturing of Indiana, Indianapolis Indians Charities, Ingram Micro, TCC. We have our graduating match sponsors, which is the Ayers Foundation, Inc., Indris and Hauser, Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, Old National Bank, One America, Paganelli Law Group, Health and Hospital Corporation of Marion County, and Union Home Mortgage Foundation. Additionally, I want to thank CIBM Bank for their support of our Love of Learning Thriving Indicator. So that's a lot of Indianapolis corporations and companies that care a lot about Big Brothers Big Sisters and care a lot about Big Futures and your future, littles. So thanks to all of them. Next, I would like to introduce our panelists. So panelists, if you want to wave, give a thumbs up, high five, or something to show who you are when I announce you, and then we'll get started with our questions. So first off, we have LaTanya McCann. LaTanya is from Delta Faucet. She's a corporate supplier quality engineer at Delta. Next, we have Albert Taylor. Albert is with Honda Manufacturing of Indiana. He's an assembly frame manager. And next we have Shayla Smith. Shayla works for the Indianapolis Indians as a digital marketing manager. Next we have Ben Carter. Ben is with Ivy Tech Community College. He is the executive director of career coaching and employer connections. Next, we have Ken Yedlick. There's Ken, okay. He's with CIBM Bank. He's a corporate banker. Next, we have Sassy Mboup. Sassy is with Ingram Micro, where he's a senior operations manager. And last of our panelists, but certainly not least, is Damien Padilla. Damien is with Strata Education Network, where he's an affiliate relationship manager. And bonus resource with Damien, he is also an alum from a historically Black college or university. So if you have questions about that, Damien, I'm sure would be happy to answer those questions. Okay, so we have several questions that we have prepared in advance for our panelists to take some of the pressure off of bigs and littles. But since we want to make this interactive and really it's all about you, please type into the chat, raise your hand, interrupt me, come off mute, whatever you want to do. I won't be insulted at all. If you have a question that you would like to ask, we can pause any of the pre-planned questions. But to get started, I'm going to start with a question that I have just to get to know each of the panelists. And that question for our panelists is, what did your educational or job training path look like? What steps did you take during and after high school to position yourself for your current career field, not fair, career field? So what did you do to put you on your path? And panelists, feel free to come off mute and answer that question for us.
This is Ken Yedlick. The things that I did, really, well, I went to Indiana University in Bloomington and focused on accounting and finance. And, really the one thing I would suggest, is, do the best you can in college, to get the good grades. That will keep doors open for you. And then what I also did is I pursued a internship after my junior year. So that helped out a lot in, starting my network of people to find what I wanted to do once I got out of school.
This is LaTanya, and I started in high school with STEM before STEM was really noted. I went to Purdue University in West Lafayette. And so my career was kind of picked for me. I didn't know that what engineers did. And I was told you would be a great electrical engineer. I had no idea what that looked like. So how it started was basically excelling in math and science in school. And then at that time we took ACT and SATs. And based on scores and profiles, college recruitment that came to our school looked for people with a certain amount of technical skills. And so it was suggested that I go into engineering. So for career days and even panelists like this, it was very advantageous for us to look at career days and to go to take your kids to work and things like that. And so that kind of helped mold me. And then afterwards I interned, like Ken said, and they have co-ops. And at Purdue, there was a lot of different avenues with General Motors and different companies. And then afterwards, me being innovative and creative, wanted to basically use that college career or the college background to kind of create new things. And so that led me to Delta Faucet.
All right, this is Sassy. So my education path actually was in finance initially, just coming out of high school. So I was interested in general studies. That's what I did throughout high school. Coming out of high school, because my parents, my dad and mainly, and my brother later on was in the world of finance. Early on in college, obviously, with summer work, started to take some summer jobs with consultants in the same field. But come to find out, the company that I work with, it was many of them during internship programs. Manufacturing was, so really being around kind of four walls wasn't really something suited for me because I'm more passionate about people. So a lot of time I find myself in a warehouse environment, just talking to supervisors and managers and trying to gain what they do and what they don't do. And I was intrigued by that. And, 10 years later, after doing other jobs in between after college, here I was in manufacturing and loved it since. So I would say just pay attention to the thing that you're passionate about early on, because at some point, the thing that interests you will find you. And once that happens, it's an amazing thing.
Hi, Damien Padilla with Stroud Education Network. I grew up as a military brat, so I was in a military family. We moved every 4 or 5 years. So I've lived in quite a few different states, but ended up in Washington, D.C., where I did choose to attend Howard University, one of the HBCUs, biasly saying one of the best, I would say, in the country. I went there as a business student, but again, I was also had a ROTC scholarship. So my job and my path at the time was to become an officer in the Army once I graduated. That unfortunately did not happen due to an accident. So I had to fall back on my training in the business school and ended up in a sales career pathway, where I basically started off in an advertising sales position with Comcast and then moved over to Discovery Channel within their education division, where I was able to get out and have several different territories across the country. And being a person that likes to be out in the field or out with people versus, as Sassy said, being trapped by four walls or a cube, I was able to get out and see different parts of the country that I may not have otherwise and meet lots of different people. So Howard helped create opportunities for me when it came to getting out there and finding opportunities to sell my products to customers that needed those. I will say that, always keep your options open because you never know what may be down the road for you. Like for me, again, my career path at the time was to be in the military. That didn't happen, but I was able to pivot. And I've had a very successful career in the sales industry, mainly now in the education portion of that. So.
Hi guys, my name is Shayla Smith. I am the digital marketing manager for the Indianapolis Indians, which is the minor league baseball team here. So I went to Ball State. I did go to school for marketing. So I feel like a lot of times when people end up in marketing, they're like, so what did you go to school for? It's like, I just went for regular old marketing, nothing fancy. I just knew that that was something that I could transition to anything. And I kind of did. I ended up going into a different area of marketing, which was events. I transitioned into social media. I ended up quitting my corporate job and starting working for a startup company. So that was a small tech company. I was living in St. Louis at the time. And those things kind of led me to coming back to digital marketing, which it was a different area of marketing. I had to kind of learn some new skills in order to be able to transition into digital marketing from the other areas of marketing that I was in before. But I feel like the one thing that was really helpful to me was making connections with people and talking to people about what you want to do, and what are the things that you like. So a lot of the jobs that I've had now are because I told someone I wanted to be in marketing, or because I told someone that I was interested in taking a risk of working in a startup or something like that. So it is really helpful to, or at least it was for me, to make those connections. And also one of the things that I was thinking of was looking at job descriptions and being able to figure out what skills employers might look for in those areas. So for instance, digital marketing is a lot of like coding or like random things like that I didn't really have. So being able to like look into those skills and learn those before applying for those jobs was really helpful as well.
Hey, good morning. This is Ben Carter from Ivy Tech Community College. Believe it or not, I actually thought when I was in high school, I thought I was going to be a professional soccer player, as silly as that sounds. It didn't happen as I work for Ivy Tech. But in high school, I think the strategies that I utilized were, obviously it's important, keep the GPA up. I think meeting with teachers is really important when you're having issues, and that builds a relationship. And sometimes that can make the difference between an A- and an A, or so on and so forth, as silly as that seems. And then getting involved in different student organizations, I think, helped me. I ended up going to the University of Michigan. I'm from Flint, Michigan. So that's kind of where I went. And I backed into studying economics for some reason, just because I was good at it. I didn't do very much career exploration at all. And I knew for sure I did not want to be a teacher. I did not want to get into education. But somehow, my senior year at University of Michigan, I was like, I have no idea what I want to do at all. And my mom was very service oriented. And so she just said, go ahead and apply, become a teacher. So I came to Indianapolis through Teach for America and ended up teaching. And kind of the rest is history. Just my passion for, serving others and working with students has kind of brought me to where I am right now. But I would say, kind of similar to what Shayla said, is just understanding what careers you're interested in and what credentials and certifications are required to become a teacher. Obviously, you need to pass a couple tests and get a degree. And then I went on to become an administrator. So I had to get my principal's licensure and get an additional degree. So just being aware of that. But I would say I wouldn't do it the way I did. I would more so figure out, learn about yourself and understand, gain insights about yourself and who you are, and kind of what other people are saying is what you're passionate about, and then create a list of kind of what career opportunities you might be interested in, and what different trainings or other educational pursuits you need to do in order to get there.
All right, I think Albert, last but not least.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Albert Taylor, like Chad just mentioned, and my career path in high school, I graduated early, about 6 months into my senior year, and I started working in a construction company because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. It was a struggle for me. So for about 7 years, I worked construction. And then I decided, I wanted to do something more. I wanted to have a different path. Honda Manufacturing in 2008 put out an ad, and I saw it. And so I applied, and I started working on the line, and eventually worked my way up into a manager role. I managed throughout Honda, different roles within that role. And eventually the past 2 years, I started mentoring other managers. So my recommendation, my thoughts on think about your future. Try to figure out what you want. Like, you have plenty of time right now to take the time, like some of the others have mentioned, to decide, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be? Talk to your mentors and those that are around you, your teachers, and try to understand, exactly what you want to do. Don't feel too much pressure to try to force yourself into a role or into a career that you're not sure that you want to do. Take the time and really understand what you want in life, and then go for it.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Albert. That couldn't have gone any better if I had planned it, because my next question goes exactly to what Albert just mentioned, and that's mentoring. So I know all the littles on this call have mentors. That's why we're all here. So the next question for the panelists is, how did you utilize your mentors to help you achieve your goals in and after high school? So how did you use your mentors to achieve your goals? If you want to answer this question, feel free to raise your hand or just come off mute, whatever you're comfortable with.
I guess I'll start. In high school, I business was definitely an interest of mine. So I was able to do a summer internship, which became more of a after school internship also throughout the school year with an entrepreneur that sold chocolates actually out of his house overseas. So he gave me a lot of background about international business, which is what my degree was in, even though that wasn't where I ended up in my career path. But it helped open the doors for me getting into Howard, into the international business program. Once at Howard, I also had a mentor who was an actual professor of mine who also owned his own business. So I kind of stuck with a lot of entrepreneurial mentors, people that have done things on their own. And he helped kind of guide me when it came to finding opportunities and pathways that would help me become successful through my sales career, even though, being a sales person is entrepreneurial in itself, that you have to go out and find people to buy products and services that they may not want or need or think that they need at that time. So, both those mentors help when it came to me finding, asking the right questions, teaching me about failures and getting back up and going out there and finding a new path. It's not only about their successes, but also learning about their failures so that you know how to better navigate what you're going to focus on and see when it's your time. So always asking questions, taking their advice. I'm trying to see if I have any other answers to that. Yeah, those are kind of what I pulled from my mentorships over time. And I still have them now here at Strata. I always look for someone to pull information from and learn from, and that helps make me a better person overall.
Chad, I would like to piggyback off of Damien, because the same thing, I still have mentors today. So even after being in my career over 30 years, I still utilize mentors. And I definitely wouldn't be on the path I was without a mentor. So like Damien said, lots of questions. It's almost a safe place to go to someone and ask all the questions without feeling like you're asking dumb questions, because there's never a dumb question with your mentor. A lot of times they have insights, or they can even point you in the right direction to other people or places or websites or resources that you definitely wouldn't know on your own. So for me, the mentors help to even define careers that I didn't even know existed. So like I said before, I didn't even know what an engineer was, what an engineer did, and even how to get to that place. So the mentors definitely helped me broaden my horizon. So I would say definitely utilize mentors, definitely ask questions. Like I said, there are definitely no dumb questions. So.
I will say my experience is very similar. And I think some of the ways that I would utilize my mentors in the business world would be like asking them, how do I handle this situation? And letting them teach you, because I feel like if you're managing people, there's a lot of times where you're like, I've never had a situation like this before. What advice can you give me so that I can figure it out for myself and learn to do it? So that was really helpful for me to be able to get that information for them. And then on the other side, tell them your goals. Like my goal is to be the director of marketing, or whatever your next step might be, and let them help you get to that point too, because and then you can turn around and help other people do the same thing. But it's always nice to hear from someone who's in a role that you aspire to be in, or similar to for them to tell you how they got there and what you can do to get in their shoes eventually.
Do any other panelists want to talk about their use of mentors?
Yeah, Chad, I'll chime in. I just I gaining mentors, started with my father because he was in accounting and he introduced me to some people. But I was also going to say, for the littles, utilize your bigs to, introduce you to people that they know. But also, I would not be afraid if you found somebody that you wanted to meet to somehow get an email to them or send a letter or a phone call. You would be amazed at how well that would be received by that person. Who would not want to, spend 30 minutes on the phone talking to someone that they don't know, but they thought enough of you to reach out to you and ask for your advice or insight or what you do. I would not be afraid to do that. And that would help expand your mentoring network.
That's a good point, Ken. And you'll see over in the chat, each of our panelists has put their contact information. So if you have some time and there's someone on our panelists on our panel that you'd like to reach out to with a phone call or an email, jot that down and call them, email them later. Anyone on this panel, I'm speaking for all of us, I'm sure would be happy to talk to you about helping in whatever way we can. Any other panelists want to talk about mentor use? Okay, well, I'm gonna pause here and check in and see if we have any questions that you'd like to ask the panel from our bigs or littles, or panelists want to ask another question. I've got a few more, so we're not going to be out of questions, but I do want to make sure this is time that littles can ask questions. Feel free to raise your hand and you could come off mute to ask that question. Or if you want to just chat the question over in the chat, feel free to type it in over there if you aren't wanting to speak in front of the whole group, which you're certainly welcome to. All right. Well, seeing no hands right now, no questions in the chat, I'll move on to our next question. And that is just trying to,
hey, Chad,
yeah,
there is a question.
I see. Okay. I see a question, and the question is, what schools help with your career? Do any of our panelists want to take that one? What schools help with your career?
I mean, I can give it a shot.
Thanks, Ben.
I was going to say that's kind of an interesting question, and I think the notion now is most schools, 2-year, 4-year schools are starting to implement some career exploration, career coaching opportunities, and a lot of them are moving in the direction of having a career center and or resources that you can utilize. I think we're seeing that in the national trend, and that's what we're doing at Ivy Tech community colleges across the state, is providing career coaching. I have a team of 6 career coaches that work with me, and we do one-on-one career coaching, coaching appointments. But more generally, what schools can help you towards your career, if that's the question you're asking, I think it really depends on what your career goals are, and then looking at what different schools or training programs have to offer that can take you there. Because for me, I think my error was a university or college was the destination. I wanted to get into this college, and then I didn't have any ideas at that point. So it really wasn't clear plan. It wasn't a good career plan. So really understanding yourself and what careers you're interested in. Then from there, you can look at all the different schools and training opportunities to try to plan out what it could look like for you. Because it doesn't necessarily have to be a straight line to a 4-year university. There's a lot of different training opportunities along the way.
Thanks, Ben. That's very helpful. And feel free if panelists are answering another question and one of these other questions come to mind, you want to address those, feel free. I do see another question coming in on the chat, and that is, do you have a job right before you finish college? So of our panelists, who kind of had a job before you finished college, you know, what did that look like transitioning from college into career for some of you?
I give it a shot. Yeah, I did have many jobs before I finished college, and part of those jobs was through a mentorship program. My brother, before I finished college, was a consultant and consulted with different companies. So I've done a lot of work for any company he pretty much consulted for, and for the most part, not getting paid for it, because in his view, he was teaching me skills and knowledge, and that was an investment on myself, right? So, thinking about it now and viewing how it went then, I couldn't agree more. And to this date, I consider him really somebody that helped me get to where I'm at today, just for those things. I didn't make money doing it, but it paid off, right? Because I learned how to interact then. You know, if you think about it, you know, and that's what I would encourage each of you don't be afraid to ask questions. And, you know, anybody within this panel will agree. I think we all woke up and excited about meeting you guys, because this is the one avenue to allow you to share what you know and to want to give back. And, you know, back then, most of the mentors that I have mentors that grabbed me along the way just because they saw a passion of learning and wanted to, a curiosity. And you'll be amazed how many mentors out there, whether at your school setting or what have you, some of the part-time job or job you come across, somebody that sees that you have interest in wanting to learn. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to interact. Because I tell you, there is no good knowledge unless you share that knowledge. So experience only serve if you could use it to help youth, and everybody within this panel will agree. So yes, I've done a lot of work before I finished college, and like I said, you know, and most of it I didn't get paid to do it, but I enjoyed it.
I've got a similar. My job after college, I did have it secured before I left college, but it came from my internship that I took after my sophomore year of school. So I did a marketing internship with a large casino organization, but I was at a tiny casino in New Orleans, and I went above and beyond on everything. I asked every single person within that organization if I could shadow them, even if they weren't in marketing. I would ask the GM of the organization if I could see what he did. So I tried to go above and beyond of writing thank you notes to everyone and being so appreciative of their time that when it came time to me graduating, I was able to reach back out and say, do you guys think you would have a spot for me? And they remembered me because I was someone that did go above and beyond when I was in that marketing internship role. So that I was able to hop into a full-time position after I graduated because of that.
Hey, thanks, everybody. Kind of have a piggyback off that question for Ben, just with your experience in career coaching and employment there at Ivy Tech. Now, when should a student be looking for work? Does that happen? Do you recommend that happen at a certain time in a college career? What advice do you have on that?
Yeah, I would say early and often. The sooner that you can get work and learn, we call it work and learn experiences, internships, job shadows. I say as soon as you get in the door and you feel like you're comfortable, you're handling your classes, I would definitely reach out to the Career Center, or, we have a Career Center, and we also have like a job board where we post internships and we market those, but speak to your faculty, your teachers, and they can point you in that direction, your advisors as well. But, what I hear from employers when we meet with them, that's part of my job as well, is to place students into job and career opportunities once they finish their time at Ivy Tech, is they wish that students would have had an internship early on, even in the beginning. But many colleges and a lot of employers say they want like a sophomore or junior when you're talking about those summer internships. They're looking for at least a little bit of time, maybe a couple of years of courses or a year of courses under your belt is probably the norm. But I would say pursue it, kind of like Shayla said, she just pursued, every avenue that she had. And it sounds like majority of a lot of the folks on the panel had opportunities in high school too. For me, if you can't get an internship and you feel like your resume is a little bare, volunteer opportunities is a great way to get involved. And so even if you can't secure an internship, I would say start with a volunteer opportunity. Well, the last thing I'll say, and then I'll go back on mute, is that we have a lot of internship opportunities available, but a lot of students already have part-time or full-time jobs. For instance, I worked at McDonald's, Sherwin-Williams, and different things when I was going through the process. But you have to be comfortable to leave maybe what you feel like is comfortable to pursue something out of your comfort zone, like an internship. Maybe you are working at McDonald's like I was, and it's comfortable because you know what to expect, but there's some great internship opportunities that might be a little different. Those are really going to open the door for some serious career progression along the way, in my opinion.
Great, thanks to everyone for those insights. Another question that came in on the chat was, have any of the panelists used interest or personality assessments to help you pick a focus area for your career? Has anyone had experience with those type of interest assessments? Sounds like we haven't had a lot of experience with that. If some, Ben, I saw you just came off
jump in
mute.
just real quickly. But,
yeah, please.
I personally didn't have any experience, but we do have a couple assessments that we utilize with students. So Indiana Career Explorer is free to any Hoosier. And so it has 3 different assessments in it. It has like a personality, values assessment. And then from there, what it does after you take those 3 assessments, it kind of connects you to different job opportunities. So I would recommend looking into that. Another one that we use is called Tradeify. It's a little quicker. And I'm happy if you're interested in learning more about those assessments to share those. But we use that for all of our students. So that's part of the first step. You meet with your coach, and then you do these interest assessments, personality assessments. So that's part of our process for career exploration.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Next question for our panelists is just to try to give everyone a little bit of a taste of what your day-to-day job looks like. You know, we've got engineers, bankers, social media managers. I don't know exactly what those careers look like. So if you can just give us a little glimpse into your day-to-day, that would be helpful.
I guess I'll jump in. Again, I work at Strata Education Network, and our goal is to help empower people to get better pathways through education and employment. And we have what we call affiliates, which are different companies that we have either acquired or gotten into business with over time. And my job as an affiliate sales partnership manager is to work with these different affiliates to help them go out and find new customers that we can sell our products to. So I have to work with a lot of different people from a lot of different parts of our company, finding ways to help them increase their business. And my job is twofold. One, I have to go out and build lists. So I talk with them to see who they're looking to go out and find. You know, what types of companies are they looking for? You know, what contacts are those people from those companies that do they want to touch or try to get in touch with? Then I work with them on their copy, i.e. their message. So a lot of what we do is through email. Instead of picking up a phone call, we'll start off with an email to these individuals, and I help craft those emails. And then we use a product called HubSpot, which allows me to send off anywhere from 5 to 1,000 emails all at the same time to then try to get those appointments set up. So, you know, my day-to-day is meeting with different contacts at the company, finding out what their needs are, and then finding ways to craft a message and then create what we call campaigns to then, you know, get that message out to hundreds, if not thousands of people at a time to then hopefully get 10 or 15 meetings set up. You know, in sales, it's all about how many people you go out and you try to contact. You know, if I call 100 people, I might get 1 or 2 actual meetings set up. So, you know, you get a lot of doors slammed in your face, but you don't take that personally. You persist, and you know, you keep going, and you'll find that you will have some opportunities and doors open. So a lot of what I do is thinking out of the box, finding ways to get our different affiliates more opportunities to spread the word to lots of people outside.
Okay, I can jump in. I work for Delta Faucet, and we make showers and lavatory faucets, which are the bathroom faucets and kitchen faucets, as well as showers and toilets. So basically, as a corporate supplier quality engineer, my job is to make sure that the products work. And if they don't work, root cause and figure out what went wrong. And so originally, you would think, because I'm an electrical engineer, that electricity and water does not mix. But with Delta being very innovative, we have products that now need electricity or need circuits to operate. So we have like touch faucets where you touch it and your water turns on, and then we have a voice IQ where you can tell like a Google or Alexa to turn your water on for you. So what happens when you say, Alexa, tell Delta Faucet to fill up my dog dish, and it doesn't happen? At that point is where I come in to find out, hey, we have products that either don't work or not working correctly, or our suppliers didn't send us the right product to build our products. So I kind of touch pretty much everything from our suppliers to consumer returns and find out innovative ways to make our products better and to keep our consumers happy. So that's kind of my day-to-day is what we consider putting out fires, making sure things work and work correctly. So long story short.
Well, all right, I'll give it a shot as well. So I work for Ingram Micro, as we stated earlier. Ingram Micro is a logistic and fulfillment company. So with close to 35,000 associates and in 150 plus locations around the world. So here in Plainfield, we have 4 campuses. I manage one of them. So obviously my day-to-day job in a nutshell is basically making sure everything gets to the customer and as desired and on time, obviously. So we have the great opportunity, as we call it here as a team. It's one of those facilities that regardless how many order comes in, the only commitment is everything got to ship out the same day. There is no tomorrow for us. It's always every day. So if you think about it, obviously on top of that, you have our internal customers, whether it's the account team, human resources, the system guys. Obviously you need the system to make it work. System do break down, orders get delays, what have you. At the end of the day, my job and my team's job is to figure out how to make everything work, and everything got to ship out. The dock got to be clear. Whether it's a direct to consumer, you're at home, you went online and ordered the product, we'll make sure it get to your door at the time that you anticipate the product to get to your door. Whether it's a full truckload, it could be 1 truck a day. It's never a truck a day. 20, that's generally the average. You know, imagine during Q4, that number easily can quadruple. You still have to make it work. It's very rewarding because every morning the result is there. It's either you make it or you're done, right? By midnight, the last truck leaves here at 12:25. And because of our proximity to the FedEx hub here in Indianapolis and our reputation to always get the job done, our customer has high expectation. So some truck leave our door straight to the plant. And whether the system held or what have you, you gotta, make sure you meet your customer's expectations. So you rely on a great team around you because it's never, one person. It's, set of people doing amazing work behind the scene, high level of collaboration. You have to have a short memory. Every day has to be a good day, whether you ship everything out or you have one package that completely broke your heart because it doesn't represent the great job the team has done. You got to go back and make sure the team focus on what's in front of them and that they start. You do it today and then you repeat. At time is 30,000 orders, 200,000 units. At time it's less than that. It could be more. But the bottom line is, you have to remain focused. You have to be able to work with people. You have to keep your emotions on check and understand, the job will be done through the people and the resources you have around you. So a lot of collaboration, a lot of teamwork, and people behind the scene doing, an amazing work at all levels.
So I'm going to jump in here real quick just to make sure we keep moving. I think we're going to have Albert and then Shayla answer these, and then we'll move on to our next question just to keep things moving. Feel free to circle back to kind of these day-to-day job questions when we jump into our breakout groups if you'd like to learn more. So Albert.
All right, hi everybody. So I work at Honda Manufacturing of Indiana, and my day-to-day consists of waking up really early in the morning, about 4 a.m. I try to be there by about 5:30. But as you can imagine, it's a big plant. We build about 1,000 units a day, and so my job on a daily basis is, one, to make sure that we have enough manpower to run. I have 5 supervisors and I have about 65-ish employees. And with that, I have to make sure that you know all the processes, because we have a line that comes through the area with, like I said, 1,000 cars a day. And we want to make sure that we have good quality and good delivery on a daily basis. So my day consists of making sure that we do have that, making sure that I have the manpower that I need, several meetings on our day-to-day operations, and just understanding, you know, what issues that we're having with equipment or manpower. But a big part of it is, I know that you see the cars, you know, fully built, but you don't see what's going on behind the scenes. When it comes into the floor, there's a lot of, it looks a lot different. It's a very blank slate. So if you can imagine the car with nothing inside of it, just bare metal coming down the line, little bitty pieces that go inside of it, you have to make sure that all those parts are installed correctly, because we want everybody to be safe. So it's a great job. I wish I could show you all exactly what I do, but it's something that I would encourage all of you to look into more. I love my job. I love going into it every day, and yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So we always say at the Indians, and probably sports in general, we feel like we have 2 different jobs, because we have a day job where mine is digital marketing. So all of the emails that you see that come from the Indians, the social media for the Indians or Victory Field, as well as the website. So I am handling all of that, as well as one social media coordinator whose role is to actually do all of the social media, the tweeting and the posting and that type of stuff. So we're really in charge of getting people to buy tickets. So everything will look a little bit different this year. It obviously looked a little bit different last year with no baseball season, but basically our job is to get people to buy those single game tickets. So when you just go to one game, we're trying to show you what's going on, what types of promotions that we have. So that's really our job in digital marketing. We also feel like we're kind of the glue in the organization. So we work with every single other department. We're collaborating with our sales team. We're collaborating with our operations team to talk through what emails we can send to help support them, what type of, I guess, even signage within the ballpark. All of that stuff runs through us and our creative team. So we really have a lot going on during the day, and then at night when we have games, most of the staff has a role during the game as well. So whether that is working the video board, doing some sort of customer service type of role, anything like that, it's kind of fun to be able to have your day job where you're chugging away there, and then to turn around and you kind of have its full guest experience. So we're just there to make sure that every single fan has all their questions answered and is having a good time in the ballpark. So definitely love that there's 2 sides of it, and would be happy to answer any other further questions about the sports world or Indians in general.
Thanks. We did have a couple questions come in over chat. So first off, what are some key points, skill sets, or questions to ask a potential mentor while exploring your career field? We talked a little bit about mentors. If you do pick up the phone or text or email a potential mentor, what are some good questions to ask? What are some good skill sets to gain?
Chad, I was going to I did put it in the chat, but to answer that question, and for a lot of different fields, I put a title of a book that I would highly recommend to every little out there, because it's called Knock 'em Dead. It's been out there for a long time, and every year they come out with a new edition, but you can even go to Half Price Books and get it for half price. It doesn't change much. They do have a couple of versions that tend to specialize on things, but I would look hard at get the edition that is broad for resume writing, networking, phone interviews, face interviews. And in there is a lot of good information. I often joke that I think every little, in addition to their diploma, should have a copy of this book. And again, it's in the chat. If you scroll up, I put it up there. So that's my attempt to answer that question.
Thanks, Ken. Any other answers to what to ask a mentor, what skill sets to target? One other question to think about answering. We're going to move into our breakout rooms pretty soon here, so we'll probably forego, and I'll kick to the breakout rooms the final question. But one more that came in over chat was, how does someone go about finding an internship that they're both interested in and qualified for? So what advice do you have for a student who is looking for an internship? Feel free to answer that question specifically for your employer. How does your employer look for an intern?
I can jump in. So we, the Indians are hiring for internships. Go to our website, indianians.com. So we do, I think Ken mentioned this as well, we go to career fairs. It's a little different these days. I think if you know the organizations that you want to work for, a lot of ways to find that is to Google like best places to work. There are a lot of companies that get awards because their employees voted that they're really happy with their job. So there are lists of like best places to work in Indianapolis, and then you can go on their websites and look in the careers or the company or something like that and see if they have any internships available. That would be my suggestion. I can't remember what I did when I was finding mine. Maybe Googling something of the sort of like marketing internships, or I'm sure Ben can probably help answer something about other resources that are online. He might know better than me, being in the education world, but I think I am just the queen of Googling everything if I don't know how to find something, and just poking around and figuring it out that way.
Yeah, I agree. I jump in real quick, and I do agree along those lines. You know, same thing here. If you go to our website, ingrammarket.com, you know, and along with that, our engineering group, most of our intern, and we have a large engineering group that mainly graduated from Purdue. So obviously this last year was a little bit different. We didn't do much because of the, you know, all the situation we're going through, but every year we'll go in there on a recruitment fair, and then we'll interview some kids that are interested in joining the team. At time, you know, kids that, you know, came through that program will refer, you know, their friends to us. But I think that's, you know, just go on company's website, and it will help knowing what you're interested in. You know, I think it's always a good start, you know, because then you'll find the right match. And obviously utilize the resources you have around you. You know, your current mentor could be a good resource. Your guiding counselor at school could be great resources as well. Don't underestimate the resources around you. Just ask questions, speak up. You know, and a lot of things, if they don't have it readily available, they might know somebody that could lead you to that.
That's great. So I'm going to leave everyone with one final question to discuss in your breakout groups. If you if you have time, breakout groups are also a great time for littles to ask questions in a smaller group. But the question I'm going to leave you all with as panelists is, what is the one piece of practical advice? I think we've already heard Ken's, which is that to go out and seek out the book that he mentioned there in the chat. But what is the one piece of practical advice you would give to someone finishing up high school? So think about that question in your breakout groups. And I want to personally thank everyone for participating. Thanks to the panelists. I know when there was silence in the panel, it was just because you guys wanted to be polite and not step on each other. So thank you all. I think it went really smoothly for being remote. And I'm going to kick it back to Stephanie to get us into our breakout groups for the next several minutes of our time together this morning. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, Chad, thank you so much for leading that panel discussion. I agree, it went very smooth.